And here we go. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
White takes the heat.
Red takes the heat.
Take the heat!
Take the Heat, a podcast powered by Liveheats, the all-in-one platform for modern sports competition. Try it now at liveheats.com. Welcome to Take the Heat. I'm your host, Mitchell Salazar. Been trying to progress your aerial skills? Today, join us as we discover some of the key techniques to help action sports athletes learn how to get started and build aerial skills with acrobatic skills and acquisition specialist, Chloe Kerr. Chloe takes us through the critical foundation skills to help you not only take to the air, but also land. She also answers questions from the groms that could help you too. All right, welcome everybody to today's episode of Take the Heat. I'm your host, Mitchell Salazar, and today I'm with Chloe Kerr, skill acquisition specialist and acrobatic skills coach for Surfing Australia. Chloe, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm stoked to be here.
So, Chloe, tell us how you got into the sport of surfing, because I believe that you're not originally a surfer yourself, right?
Oh, look, I have a go, but I'm definitely not up there. But yeah, no, my background is as an athlete. I was a gymnast, did a bit of gymnastics, diving, parkour. A kind of fairly high level with gymnastics and then messed around with everything else. And then, how I got into surfing and kind of some of the other sports I work with is I did a lot of work with kind of freestyle gymnastics, which is essentially just gymnastics, but a bit kind of cooler with the parkour elements in there. And Surfing Australia at the time, I don't know if some of the Aussies remember when the Howley High Performance Centre was being built, and they put in some trampolines in there. And some of the staff there at the time, Clancy and some of the other kind of sports scientists, recognized the need for aerial development. And they installed a load of trampolines, and I was kind of brought in just to help them with how to set up, how to use it, those sorts of things. So essentially it started off as a bit of a workshop on one of the camps, and then grew to where we are now, which is pretty cool.
Why so recent? Why not do this a few years before, maybe even a couple of decades ago?
I've probably been around for maybe too long. I moved out here from the UK actually in 2012, and I was doing some work with surfing a couple of years after that. So I've been around for 6-7 years. But credit to the Aussies. They recognised that aerials were the next big thing, and that they needed to start early and prepping the groms ready to be aerially diverse and acrobatically developed. So kind of a few brains down there, Kingy and Clancy and a few of the kind of the guys that saw a need and maybe saw some of the Brazilians going in the air, and that was the point of advantage or point of difference. So it was their brains, and I just came in to give them some ideas of how the body moves and how to develop some of those skills. Not surfing background per se. So I'm kind of more the specialist that works with how the body moves, using kind of breaking down skills, I guess, to develop some of those aerial techniques. So I definitely don't claim to be a surf coach. But a lot of just understanding the needs of the individuals and how they learn, understanding what their goals are, working with the surf coaches and strength coaches to develop a kind of skill-based program for some of these athletes. And then a lot of it as well is just kind of play and exploration and just kind of, fine-tuning some of the motor skills or the smaller movement patterns required for aerials. So, I guess it's cross.
So obviously, because you have to compare movements from other sports into a sport that's probably brand new when it comes to these kind of things. And I guess Australia definitely took a hint of what Brazilians were doing. And obviously the surfers from the U.S. have always been quite advanced too. Not to say this is the only thing that is probably going to beat them, but do you think this one skill in particular is probably the most valuable asset to beat somebody like a Brazilian surfer?
Oh, absolutely not. But it's, to have all the tools in your toolbox to be able to kind of pull out at any stage is important. The fully rounded surfer is really important right now, and being able to adapt to different environments and situations and wave profiles. But it's certainly an element that's going to be important in certain types of places on the tour or certain types of waves. But I'm also keen to see some airs at Chopu and places like that and see what people can do. Who knows?
You never know. We could get a small day at Chobes during the 2024 Paris Olympics, and next thing you know, Italy's going for the gold medal again. And I think that's what's so impressive about them in particular is that what Gabe has done, especially since he won his first world championship in 2014, he's become a much more different surfer too. And as you said, he's probably the most complete surfer out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, I guess, think that I just work with just doing airs and flips and stuff. But there is a lot of kind of, yeah, it's part of the training as well. Is just skill acquisition is kind of the science of learning. So we're trying to like take some of the skills and really simplify them, break them down, and kind of use repetition. To develop the movement pattern. So it's not always airs, although it's probably 90% of kind of the work there. But yeah, I'll do some work with them just around like adaptability training and just exploring different kind of, I don't know, landing areas or things like that. Lots of visual kind of spotting techniques as well, which is really important for a surfer. And just like even just pressure testing in games and things like that. So there's things that can hopefully transfer across to some of the other skill sets as well. But yeah, the big one is obviously just the airs and spins. But yeah, the idea of Skillac is to transfer some of the training into their competitive environment. So, there's some people that train really well, but get to that kind of high pressure situation and can't kind of perform as well. So yeah, we design little drills and tasks as well, with the psychologists and the strength coaches to develop some of those skills out of the water as well.
You want it to be applicable to the moment, right? Because if not, there's no point in even learning it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like if these athletes are adaptable and can think on the spot, it's gonna make a lot of difference.
So what's spotting, by the way?
Spotting, like visual spotting. So, I guess a lot of coaches and athletes will recognize like where you look is where you go. When you're in the air, if you're kind of upside down or spinning, if you can actually spot your landing, so see where you want to go as early as possible, you're more likely to land because you can then connect to the brain to switch on the right muscles to actually prepare for the landings rather than catch up with it, if that makes sense. So spotting is seeing something and adapting quickly.
You think most surfers use this kind of drill or maybe this skill in order to benefit themselves when it comes to aerial improvement?
Definitely aerials, yeah, I would say. Like, as I say, I'm not an expert in the other aspects, but, I do know that visual and kind of seeing down the line is really important because it allows you, to have time to make a decision. But yeah, for landing, that was probably one of the bigger interventions at the start when I was working with these athletes was, what are you seeing? Can we slow down time for you through aerial awareness so that you can actually spot that early, prepare your body, get your legs ready, get your core ready. So yeah, I think it will make a huge difference, and it's actually a huge benefit to aerial awareness as well.
Isn't it crazy though, for the most part, especially across all sports, sports that involve aerials, BMX, skating, surfing, kite surfing, all of the above, you'd be thinking that the takeoff is actually the most important thing. Does anybody actually come to you with that kind of opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the way I kind of look at aerials is like the three kind of areas is the takeoff, the mid aerial, the maneuver, and then the landing. So that's essentially what we can do in dry land training is break those three things down and really kind of perfect those different segments of the body, or even, just build a bit of strength so that they can pop higher, so they've got more time to do the aerials. So there's no one area that's more important. But a lot of people come to me saying, I can do airs, I just can't land them. So a lot of people want the end result. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's because the takeoff is, is not great for them to have time to do the skill. So yeah, there's a lot of analysis involved in, yeah.
And I was just with Kalani Ball, Liam O'Brien, Dylan Moffitt, a couple of those Aussie guys that are at the top tier, close to qualifying for the championship tour on the surfing side. What kind of drills do you necessarily give somebody like that before they enter a heat?
Yeah, well, I guess the main kind of types of work I'll do is more, I guess, off-season developing stuff. So in the off-season, we'll develop all of the skill sets and explore the different kind of types of skill sets. With those guys at the top, I'll generally work really closely with either themselves or their coach to say, what are kind of your goals? What do you need to work on? with the groms, I'll try and develop a whole skill set of aerials. But with those guys at the top, it's like, well, what type of things you want to work on so we can really individualize it and hone in on some of the things that aren't going right for them and give them drills. So yeah, anything from plyometric kind of drills, getting them popping, to we use lots of trampoline kind of skills as well, just getting them to repeat the movements over and over again and just really be able to refine some of the movements in a safer space. We try and say that the work is done in the dry land so that what you can maximize your time in the surf, so that you're not kind of bailing on all your airs and getting tired. You want to be kind of half there, ready to go. But yeah, I'll generally find out what they want to work on. I'll use lots of video analysis and kind of try and pinpoint with them or the coach or just through watching videos and try and give them ideas of what might be happening, and then ask them if they feel the same way. And then, I'll just design a drill based on that. So it might be takeoff, it might be, that they're not spinning as fast as they want to, and then it might be down to core control, or it could be, how they use their body. Most of the time it is landing. And it could be the position on the wave or where they're spotting, looking, and things like that. So there's lots of different ways you can look at it. But I'll try and keep it simple for those guys because it's more about refining at that stage.
And what about the people that have trouble landing, or maybe even the people that can't necessarily even take off? What do you do with them?
There's a lot of work. I'll try and work really closely with the coaches to see if it is their actual approach. Obviously, every wave is different. So just, again, trying to adapt to those different situations. And the training that I do as well is with them might be kind of getting them to be in the moment and visualize. So this is a small wave, so I'll give them a smaller takeoff. You're going to have to spin a lot quicker. You're going to have to really pop to get out of this. So just trying to get them to transfer that knowledge as well. It's easier to transfer and see it if they can relate it to surfing. So I'll just try and do that as much as possible. But as I say, landing could be anything from your takeoff, your speed of rotation, your projection angle as well. If you're going off the back of the wave all the time, you going too early, and then that visual spotting I think is so important. How they land is really important as well. Just like really bracing for the landing, because huge forces going through the body, and if you're super relaxed and collapse into your landing, it's going to be harder to control it. There's no one answer to that, unfortunately, but that's where that analysis comes in really handy, just to really have a look at the video and see what is happening, or ask them questions. They usually know themselves.
So for somebody like myself, or anybody at home that's looking for a spotting visual exercise, what do you normally present to somebody like that?
Have you got a trampoline?
No, unfortunately not.
No, just being aware of it. So for me, head position in spotting is really important. Some people, when I work with them, they'll try and spin. I don't know if this is video live, but they'll try and spin with their heads, and generally get lost. And that's a good exercise to do, is do like a 360 spin with your head up and see how lost you get. And then try and do it with your chin and head down, and try and see the whole rotation. And you'll be more in control of what you're doing. So use of the head is really important. You really should be rotating from the hips through the core, using your arms and shoulders, and your head should generally stay pretty neutral.
Right, because your shoulders follow your hips, right?
Yes, as long as your core is activated and that that energy goes through the whole body, for sure.
Okay, so you look at somebody like Tony Hawk, who has been, I would have to say, even one of the more recognizable figures in all of sports worldwide. There was a video the other day that he actually posted. I want to say it's got to be at least 25 years old, but he was actually working out on trampolines already. And it goes to show you that somebody like that, who's a multiple-time X Games medalist, even puts in the time and effort to do those kind of things as well, in terms of repetition, obviously.
Yeah, I watched it. That's from his documentary. I was watching that on the plane the other day. Such a good documentary. He was. And that's what, like, the athletes nowadays, like, to get the advantage, you need to be looking at all these different types of modalities. Like, I always say to get better at surfing, you surf, but there is lots of other options that you can do as well to help you. Cross training, it doesn't have to just be trampolining, but skating or martial arts or anything that's going to help you become an adaptable athlete. And yeah, for me, I just think repetition, especially in aerials, is super important. So yeah, I actually saw that clip and he was on a tramp doing a McTwist, I think, which is pretty cool.
And speaking of cross training, one of my all-time favorite athletes, Vasily Lomachenko, is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in boxing, has one of the best amateur records there's ever been. He's a professional boxer, and his father actually, believe it or not, put him into dancing when he was very young because he wanted him to benefit off of dancing the way he does from boxing. Then once he became a boxer again in his late teens, now he's one of the best ever. So talk to me about the diversity of not only getting that cross training, but also doing things that you normally wouldn't think are applicable to that sport.
Yeah, and that's it. Like having an open mind with this sort of thing is important. And I kind of always say to the guys, like, it's not going to feel like surfing straight away. But if you can try and relate that to something in surfing, then it's going to benefit you a lot more because you can, your brain can relate that information. But yeah, dancing would be great for kind of posture and core control and yeah, that head control I was just talking about with the spotting. But yeah, like this surfers out there are doing loads of stuff like golf, martial arts, like loads of the groms that I work with do trampolining now because of, the benefits that they see from that. But I guess the other side, and to answer your question, is putting yourself outside of your comfort zone as well is pretty important. Just to see how you react to it and just to see if you can adapt in different situations. Yeah, being a fully rounded, holistic, robust athlete is probably pretty important these days.
Sounds like a dream job, actually. But I don't know if there's many people out there that can actually do that for a living, Chloe. But, we're going to have soon on the pod none other than Sierra Kerr. I don't think you guys are related, right? You and Josh, no relationship whatsoever.
No,
right?
Weirdly, it's in the name.
Okay.
In the name.
I'm just saying.
The aerial
right?
in the name.
Yeah. And you see people like Sierra, Bella Kenworthy here from the U.S., Molly Picklam, who just requalified for the Championship Tour. Their skills have been developed for years now. And I think what's very impressive about them is that they're almost even overlooking the fact that men are probably doing the same thing as them. They're probably doing things better than the men now. So I guess in a way, what kind of sense do you have of benefiting the women when it comes to not only providing those skills for them, but also elevating the game where they haven't seen it before?
Yeah, I think Sierra's a legend. I've done a bit of work with her. She's just so open to different types of training. She just froths everything. And she's just so talented. Like, she's great. But yeah, for females, and not just females, but like just for me, again, the building the skill progressively instead of kind of just chucking it. It was kind of a lot of the language I used at the beginning. It was like, don't just chuck a skill and not know where you are. Try and understand and analyze the skill so that you can break it down yourself. And that's what I try and teach. Like, I'm trying to teach them to analyze their own movements so that they can solve the problems themselves. But I think the option to try it a few times and explore and, feel when it goes right, feel when it goes wrong, just gives you that confidence as well, confidence in your body to do the right thing. And then you kind of work through the mind as well. So you can, as I say, with the trampoline, it slows down time. So you've got more time to think, you've got more time to adjust in the air. And then hopefully that will adjust to being able to do that rapidly once you practice it a few times. Generally practicing it in a safer environment as well. And when I say safer, you just got repetition, you've got mats, you've got kind of soft landings to make all your mistakes and learn from them in those environments. So, yeah, for me, and it worked for me when I was kind of doing parkour and all the different sports I did, it worked for me to just build progressively those skills. I retained them a lot more. I could play around with them a lot more, and I just had trust and confidence in my body. So that's what I think the benefits are for all genders.
Okay, in your expert opinion, you look at the airs that surfers are doing, both in pools and in the ocean. What seems to be the most difficult grab or air that a lot of the athletes you work with tend to have difficulties with?
Well, I think that's so dependent on the athlete. But yeah, I think I get a lot of questions about alley-oops. I'm super keen to see where aerials go as well. Like, so I'm working with some of the groms on like double flips and 720s and just kind of really going past, what's possible now. And I think I do that just to, let them see what's possible. But also, if you can do a 720, it makes a 360 seem a lot slower. It's just that kind of method of, going a bit further to come back. But yeah, maybe the alley-oops, maybe some of the inversions, but obviously it's not as popular yet, but I think it will be. Like, I've seen lots of inversion type skills. So that'll become hopefully a thing, because I just love watching people go upside down. But yeah, it's a hard one. And obviously like grabs like stale fish and things like that, because it's not as functional as like an indie grab or a meat grab, because you've not got your shoulders forward and your weight forward, so it's a little bit harder. But yeah, don't know. It's a good question.
Well, I usually tend to think that it's either got to be a stale fish or a correct flip. Courageous are difficult too, and Josh Kerr, obviously a prominent surfer, was able to name 2 airs that many people can't even do. But you look at female development, 1990 world champion Pam Burridge is actually looking to, get airs under her belt too. Any advice for her?
No, I can't wait to see her train and see how she kind of works towards that. It's definitely possible and doable. Love to see her on some trampolines or just on doing some dryland stuff for sure. But yeah, I think that would be great inspiration to everyone.
Do you use music in the backgrounds when you're training with your athletes in order to get them to synchronize their movements with music?
I have done, yeah. We just have music on in the background because it kind of pumps them up. I'll get them to choose what tunes they want just to rev them up, pump them up. But yeah, no, not to sync the movements per se, because I don't know if that's as representative of the competition environment, unless they wear earbuds and things like that. But yeah, to create a vibe, like part of the training like that I do, like at first it was like, oh, I'm not doing gymnastics and that sort of thing. So I reframe and don't call it gymnastics. That's why we call it aerial and acrobatic development. But yeah, creating a vibe is so important. I've got a group of groms that I work with now, and just like how they vibe off each other just makes the session so fun, and that's why they want to keep coming back. And I think, yeah, if they're learning skills as well, it's helpful. But yeah, I think it's really important for them to choose the music, because my music taste.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe, yeah. It's a vibe. Obviously, you should know that song, right? Especially the kids that you work with. So that basically pushes them to a higher level among each other.
Yeah, I would say. But no, maybe I'll start using music. Maybe that's a shout for rhythmic development.
Hey, I'm just saying, I've done a lot of boxing and martial arts in my youth, and it helps. Almost every gym that you go into, they have music playing in the background for a reason.
What's your song? Make a choice.
Well, look, I'm a big hip hop rap kind of guy.
Okay.
Tupac greatest hits. It's as easy as that. Or you could do Nas Illmatic.
Oh, the classic.
Or you could also do a little bit of EDM, which I like as well.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's funny, like the different sports I work with, like the BMX. I work with a few different sports, but the BMX guys love a bit of drum, bass, EDM, kind of like the more dance music, and then the surfers, you've either got the rock, kind of old school rock, or the hip hop. Like, it's pretty funny. Shows you how individual they are as well. But
what did you have for your own dance routines when you're still doing gymnastics?
Oh God. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I was a gymnast, but I was terrible at dancing, so they had to adjust all my routines. I think I had Led Zeppelin as one of the routines.
Oh.
Yeah. I wasn't great at the like real kind of girly dancing. So all of our routines were like strong, powerful movements, which is why I ended up going to parkour, because it was a little bit more suited to me. But yeah.
Okay, let's get to our questions for today. We got Balin and Locana Cullen. So let's start with Balin right now.
He's got mail. Hi Chloe, my name is Balin Cullen from Avalon Beach, and I'd like to ask you, because I really want to learn frontside and backside air revs, and I'd like to know what is the best thing to practice on a skateboard, then transfer into the water on a surfboard.
Cool. Yeah, good question. Yeah, it's great that he's asking that question of how can I train and how can I learn and get better. Yeah, I know this little kid. He's a shredder anyway, so he's going to go far. But yeah, using skateboards is great for that kind of just working on that pop and the ollies. Getting the pop is important. Picking the right line is obviously important, and working with your coach if you have one on that. But yeah, skateboard. Yeah, I would obviously say just some stuff on the ground. Like, can you do some jumps on the ground, lifting your knees up, getting in that nice compressed shape. Just really efficient rotations as well. So yeah, I think I talked about the head movement, but yeah, using the hips and the arms and the core correctly to just make that spin as efficient as possible. I'll tend to, do that trick when you sit on a spinny chair. I'm sitting on one now, I could show you, but, and just help them kind of pull in the arms and just see how fast they can kind of go. As I say, trampolines are great because they'll be able to slow down time for you and help you work on some of the finer skills like your spotting or using your kind of hip drive. But yeah, just practicing on the ground, practicing on trampolines, practicing on skateboards, but really all of that is about understanding your body and exploring how your body works. And then, yeah, one of the tips I kind of often say is a lot of people, I don't know if you can see, but try and pull in close to the body, which works for gymnasts, but it doesn't necessarily work for surfers because obviously your center of mass is different. You've got a board to work with. So trying to keep your elbows nice and high and pull nice and wide across your body. Keeping your core strong and compressing is probably my tips there. But yeah, just do all the repetitions on the ground. We've even set up things on the beach. I'm sure lots of groms do this now, but just going off the sand dunes, so you can practice 10 times and then go out and have a go on the board as well. We've used Bosu balls as well, just dug them into the ground and just like a little trampoline. Heaps of stuff you can do, but yeah, all of it comes down to just learning what works for your body to spin faster.
Great answers right there. Now let's go to the sibling, Locana.
He's got mail.
Hi Chloe, I'm Locana Cullen from Avalon Beach, and I was wondering how to land an alley-oop in the face of the wave because every time I try, I land in the back of the wave. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you start learning though, right? Go off the back of the wave and then just start to adjust your movements to refine it. But keep pushing, you'll get it eventually. But yeah, some of the things, it's hard to say without seeing it, but yeah, mate, send me some videos and I'll happily have a look through and just try and give you some tips. But is it, your takeoff angle? Is it, which way you're going up the wave? I would work a lot on like projection as well. So I think, yeah, just similar to the last answer is just working on how you can manipulate your body to go forwards as well. So using your kind of hip drive and things like that and where you're looking and where you're throwing your arms to try and take it forwards. But yeah, if it's not to do with your approach and where you're taking off, then yeah, just practice some of those skills of just projecting out as far as you can forwards and use things like your straight airs to practice that. If I'm presuming and hoping you can already do straight airs, but use those to actually practice how you can change the direction of the rotation in the air, I guess. And then yeah, coming back to spotting as well, like where are you looking when you set off for that maneuver? So obviously you want to take off the wave, but then yeah, as early as you can, you want to try and see your landing so that you can get ready for it. But yeah, difficult to say without seeing it. But yeah, send me some videos and I'll have a look for you and see how you go. But just keep going, bud. You'll get it.
Hey, how lucky are the two brothers right there, the Collins? They're getting free tips, free advice, and then you're gonna do some video review for them too.
Of course, that's what we're here for.
Oh, Chloe, my heart. Working with the youth.
Be the best that they can be.
I like it. Okay, before we let you go, if somebody wants to contact you, get better at their aerial skills, or acquire different skills and knowledge in terms of airs, how do they get through to Chloe Kerr?
Yeah, my Instagram is AirX all one word. So yeah, just give a shout on there and see how we go.
Cool. Thanks for your time, Chloe. I appreciate it very much, and good luck in the years to come.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and yeah, good luck with everything.
Take the heat!
This has been a Liveheats production. If you've tried and tested any of the tips from the series, let us know via Instagram. Make sure you subscribe and follow Liveheats, and we'll see you next time for Take the Heat. Take the Heat is a podcast powered by Liveheats, the all-in-one platform for modern sports competitions. Try it now at www.liveheats.com.
You've got mail.